Money, money, money. Hello, welcome to Dragon Financial. I am your host, Brad. Have you ever wished for more money? Or maybe just to understand finance? Here at Dragon Financial, we do things a little bit differently. Every episode will take us on a planned series of learning more about money. This is a journey that will take us through the history of money and teach you what you should have learned in high school. Our team has prepared a multi-part series to teach you the basics of money and finance. So if you want to master money and finance, subscribe to the Dragon below to take this journey with me. After we've learned the basics of money, we'll dive into the stock market, and we have several more series coming your way. We can't promise to take you from zero to hero, but we'll try our best. So let's dive in. Money, money, money. But what is money? Money is the means by which we facilitate trade for goods or services. In order to understand money, we'll need to go all the way back to the beginning. People have used all kinds of things for money, such as cows, fish, and seashells. However, these early forms of money had major disadvantages, such as availability, size, and scarcity. One of the most fascinating examples of money was on the island of Yap, where they used large stones called ray stones to symbolize money. They soon realized that these stones were too heavy to move around, so they just started to leave them in place. The islanders would record who owned which stones and give them credit for owning them in order to trade goods. This was the start of one of the first banks by keeping a tally of a person's money. Next, we will move on to a more familiar form of money, the metal coin. Commonly used in Europe, the kings would put their faces on the coin and verify their weight and value. The government would make the coin with precious metals such as gold or silver. However, some people found that they could literally make money by debasing the coin and remaking it with a cheaper metal, or just clipping off a little piece on hundreds of coins to make it worth less than face value. In the Song dynasty of China, the emperors realized it was very inconvenient to travel with large sums of money. It was very heavy and easy to rob, so they developed traveling money. Traveling money was a note that was redeemable in coins from the government. You could take this note after traveling to the government center and retrieve your coins. This paper money was so convenient to carry that merchants and ordinary people started using them for trade. Marco Polo, an Italian merchant, was amazed by the Chinese paper money. After returning to Italy, he wrote about it in his book during the Yuan dynasty. Soon after Marco Polo returned, Italy began the Italian Renaissance, resulting in a rapid growth in trade. With the increase in trade, merchants needed a place to store their money, starting what is now called modern deposit banking. Modern deposit banking started in Venice during the Renaissance and quickly spread to the other Italian city-states, such as Genoa and Florence. These banks and banking families grew rapidly. One of the most powerful banking families was the Medici family. They became the most powerful family in all of Europe. Some consider them more powerful than even the kings and pope. The banking services that these families created continued to grow, including lending or loans, as well as currency conversion for foreign money. But soon, the banks realized that not everyone would come for their money all at the same time. So the banks started to loan out more money than they had on deposit, starting what is now called fractional reserve banking. This system worked great until a major event such as the Great Depression caused everyone to run to the bank to get their cash. Once people realized that the banks didn't have the cash, it created a bank run, where everyone rushed to the bank to try and get their money all at once. The federal government realized this was kind of a big problem and created guarantees on your cash, such as the FDIC insurance, which we will talk about in the chapter on banking. If you like money, hit the like button. Up until now, all of the money has been based on an underlying asset, such as gold or silver. However, after World War II, most countries owed the United States money, so President Nixon decided to remove the United States from the gold standard in 1971. This created a free-floating currency that was not based on any underlying asset, such as gold or silver. In fact, it was only based on the trust in the United States government to create currency by decree, or also known as Fiat Currency. Many other countries soon followed, creating their own fiat currency, and this is the currency that we use today. All right, now that we are caught up on a quick history of money, the final thing we need to know is inflation. A hot topic in today's society, inflation essentially means your dollar is worth less than it was last year. On average, the Federal Reserve Bank, or the overseers of our currency, likes to keep the dollar at around 3% inflation per year. They commonly measure it with a pricing index called the CPI, or Consumer Price Index. This index measures the cost of your basic items, such as food, housing, clothes, and cars. And because inflation slowly eats away at the value of our dollar, we cannot just keep it under our mattress. We need to invest our dollars, or we will slowly lose value over time. Here's a quick review of the topics we learned today. What is money? Metal coins. Paper money. Modern deposit banking. Fractional reserve banking. The gold standard, fiat currency, inflation. I'll leave timestamps in the description so you can quickly review any of these topics. I hope you enjoyed our journey today as we explored the history of money. Join me next time as we focus on banks in our series on money, what they didn't teach you in high school.